Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Backpack Battles. Now we got a lot to unpack today. So first off, we have a balance patch. Good stuff. But before we even start talking about balance changes, we have new items to go through. We have 5 new items. These are all combination items, so they need to be made somehow. We'll talk about that as well. Look at what they do. I'll give you my own personal opinion about each of the items as well. But let's get right in this video because there's a lot to unpack here. So what are they saying though? Today we have a huge content update with 5 new recipes and more. With the new items, we are making some balance adjustments. There will probably be more changes next week when we can judge the impact the new items have on the meta. So basically, probably balance patch next week. That is kind of nice because I do think there are some balance changes that need to be done after playing on this patch for a bit. So, the new items and new stuff in general: Serpent Staff, Spike Staff, Thorn Bloom, King Crown, and King Goobert are the 5 new items, all of which are pretty solid in my opinion. Besides that, they added an item info panel, which we will show off in a little bit. A item record, which is kind of like a in-game achievement sort of thing, which is kind of cute. And a new outfit for the Pyromancer, which looks pretty good too, if you ask my opinion. But before we actually look at the balance changes, like I said, let's go look at the items. So, first off, we have the item tab here now. You have some stuff, some info here. You can also press and hold the Alt button now to get a little bit more information. As you can see now, it will show you things like highest rank you got or played, I believe, on said items. So that is pretty nice. So as for the items, it's also really nice though on the item info. For example, right here, Magic Torch, it shows you what ingredients are used to make them if they are a combination item. Anyway, the new items. Let's start with the staves. First off, we have Serpent Staff, made with Magic Staff and a Poison Potion, Pestilence Flask. It is pretty good in my opinion. What does it do? Does some damage, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Regular ranged weapon. Also, it's magic. On attack, use 4 mana to gain 2 damage and inflict 1 poison for each 4 damage dealt. A lot to digest there, but basically it has the Magic Staff thing where it uses a little bit of mana to gain some extra damage. It's permanent damage too, so it's going to be stacking up and up as the fight goes on and on, as long as you have the mana to feed it. And the amount of poison it puts is equivalent to how much damage it deals. So you deal 4 damage with it, somehow you put 1 poison. You deal 8 damage, 2 poison, and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, one great way to play this thing is to use ways to increase its damage quickly, make it crit somehow, maybe a lamp activation, stuff like that is what I like. Also, as another line of text, your opponent has a 30% reduced chance to resist, or a reduced 30, or English is hard. Your opponent has a 30% reduced chance to resist poison. I kind of like this. It feels like, mostly from Berserker, it feels like there has been a decent amount of just poison resist specifically, and even a little bit of debuff resist in the form of things like Tim. But yeah, things like, I think they're called Dragon Claws, the Forged Gloves. It's kind of annoying. Also kind of nice against anyone who plays emeralds in armor sockets. So that's just a nice little cherry on top kind of help there. Is the item good? It's solid. I think it's kind of better on non-Reaper classes like Ranger, because Rangers can crit right away thanks to luck and acorn collars. Sure, Reaper has Cursed Dagger, but I think it's fine on Reaper too. Especially with Cauldron on Reaper, I think there is some potential with Cauldron and some kind of like potion stacking build. Cauldron also gives you the mana, so I like it. I like this item overall. Kind of sad that it's not a Reaper only item, because you can use a Poison Potion, a Pestilence Flask to make it, so pretty much every class can make it. Unlike the other staff, which is Spike Staff, which needs a Magic Staff and a Spike Collar, so barring any shenanigans like badges or presents, generally only Berserkers are going to be playing this. What does it do though? So, similar to a magic staff, uses mana to do something. Use 5 mana to gain 2 Empower. It's not actually gaining damage like Magic Staff or Servant Staff, but it's gaining 2 Empower, which you could argue is better unless your opponent has buff removal. And also, during Battle Rage, it'll also gain 2 Spikes. Now, this thing was really, really good. It was so good in the beta branch, in the beta test, that it got preemptively nerfed before it went live. It actually used to use only 4 mana to gain all that stuff. It's still pretty solid. Pretty good with Deerwood too, just because Deerwood lets you be really tanky. Deerwood also gives you the mana to keep using it. So I really like this staff too. I don't even know if I would say it's a top 3 item though for Berserker, like a top 3 build, Reaper, Berserker. But that's because Berserker has so many good builds they can go. So it's not that it's a bad item, and it's not that it creates bad builds. It's just, I think Berserker is just so good and has so many good builds. It's like, yeah, I could go this, or I could go like Falcon Blade Magic Torch, or Busted Blade, or maybe Chain Whip or something instead. It doesn't use that much stamina, 0.6 a second, so you could throw it into another build. So that's definitely something. Now, what are our other 3 items? Well, next up, we got Thorn Bloom. I don't know how to evaluate this item. I've played it a little bit on the beta branch, and even then I'm not too sure what to think about this. So, it's a Thorn Whip upgrade, sort of like how Bloodthorn is. So you need a Thorn Whip, and you need to combine the Thorn Whip with a Stamina Potion. Comparing this to Bloodthorn, I kind of like Bloodthorn better in general. Not to say that Bloodthorn's always better than this, but one, it's a lot bigger than Bloodthorn. That kind of sucks. Its combination items rarer than Hungry Blade. Hungry Blade's an epic. Stamina Potion being a legendary, so it's a little less consistent than Bloodthorn, but that doesn't mean it's worse. But what's the item actually do? Well, does some damage, has pretty bad accuracy, 80% accuracy, so I kind of don't like this on anything except for Ranger, or at least a class that can, or a build that can generate some luck to make sure it actually hits. On hit, gain a spike, 30% chance to gain Empower. Okay, not terrible, but not amazing. Empower gained. Gain 7 max health. Deal +1 damage per spikes. So, yeah, I kind of like this with Ranger and Reaper. Not so much with Pyromancer. I feel like Pyromancer likes the other Thorn Whip upgrades, Bloodthorn and Flame Whip a little more. But I like this with Ranger because, well, one, Carrot Goo kind of synergizes well with this. And number 2, alongside Reaper, this is just a nice way for them to gain some max health, which they don't really do that easily. With Reaper, I kind of like this with, say, a Misfortune. Have some kind of way to generate luck in the form of like a rapier or maybe some blueberries or something. And then you generate luck, and Misfortune will turn that luck into Empower, theoretically. Kind of cute. So, yeah, I like the item. Out of all the items, though, I think it is I wouldn't say the worst, but probably the hardest to make work, if that makes sense. Next up, we got our final 2 items, the King Crown and the King Goo. So let's start with the King Crown. King Crown, as you can guess, is made from crown. I forgot what it's actually called. What is it actually called? Glowing Crown. So, Glowing Crown plus Gem Box make the King Crown. This actually has already gotten buffed once. In the beta branch, it actually used to be 3 seconds was its cooldown. They buffed it to every 2.5 seconds. So that's nice because Glowing Crown is also every 2.5 seconds. So it kind of felt weird that it was every 3 seconds. But every 2.5 seconds, heal for 5 and protect a buff from removal. So it loses that blind cleanse that regular Crown has. Use 12 mana, become invulnerable for 2 seconds. A little more expensive too, 12 mana instead of 2 mana, but that's not terrible. Now here's the thing. This last line of text is the nice thing about King Crown and King Goo. Effects of gemstones socketed in this are increased by 50%. That is really powerful, in my opinion. Also, it has 2 gem slots, so you can put in, well, 2 gem slots. Or 2 gems. I really like putting in things like rubies and amethyst. I've even seen, like, corrupted crystal and poison builds on this. I'm not a big fan of that, but that is definitely kind of cute. But, yeah, I really like this, gemstone boosting ability it has. Is King Crown by itself good? Not in my opinion. I think King Crown by itself is bad. I don't think it's unplayable bad, though. I think Berserker can play it, especially with like anvil stuff, but even then it's kind of iffy. The biggest problem, in my opinion, with King Crown is it eats up the gem box, so you're not, once the gem box fuses with the crown, you're no longer going to get any more gems from, well, the gem box or in the shop anymore unless you have a second gem box, so that does kind of suck. That's the main problem I have with it. Number 2 is it does take up a lot of space, but whatever. And now for the final item that needs a King Crown, King Goobert. King Goo. I like this guy. 6 stars, so really nice. More stars than every other Goobert except for the Rainbow Goos, of course. So what does he actually do? 6 item activations, heal for 25. Pretty big heal. Protect 2 buffs from removal. Okay, not bad, not bad. And use 6 mana to become invulnerable for 1 second up to 3 times. I'm not sure if I like that, like, broken up, like, split apart invulnerability compared to, like, Glowing Crown and King Crown's, like, all at once invulnerability, but I kind of like it. And then it's got the King Crown effect of boosting up gemstones. Same effect. 50%. I'd like to see this up to like 55% if they want to buff him, in fact. But yeah, I like this guy. Kind of like this in stuff like Unhealing for Reaper. Doesn't really fix the problem of Unhealing, in my opinion, in that Unhealing doesn't scale too great. Also doesn't fix the problem of Unhealing in that their mid-game's kind of weak. King Goo, I think it's a good item. My problem with King Goo is he takes a little bit too long to come together. And that previous fact that I mentioned of him eating up the gem box, making it hard to get more gems. So you kind of need to have gems for the king up. But yeah, all great items, all really fun to play. I highly recommend you try them out. Also, it does kind of suck that you have to make you have to hold a regular Goo for a long time. Regular Goo does kind of fall off. Anyway, like I said, that's all the items. Let's go and talk about the balance changes. Not that many, but they are still quite a few, and I do want to talk about them because some of them are quite meaningful. One in particular, well, one group in particular is quite meaningful. So, we'll start with the neutral items. Platinum Customer Card now also gives a 10% chance to protect your buffs from removal. I like it. Still not going to make me really buy Platinum Customer Card. Still don't think it's worth it, but it is a nice extra effect. So, sure. Stone buff, kind of scared of this. Cooldown from 2.7 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Kind of hate that they keep buffing stones cooldown more and more. Feels like another ranger buff to me, especially with like a bag of stones. You know, hero sword stuff, bag of stones, kind of scary. I like this. I like this buff here. Stone Helm. Stun resist chance from 25 to 30%. Pretty big fan of that. I thought Stone Helm, in my opinion, was already a pretty good item, so I'm kind of surprised they're buffing it. But hey, I'll take a small buff. Like, this is a small buff. Most of the time, I'd say like 60% of the time, this buff isn't going to matter. Hammer Dagger is kind of popular right now, especially for Reaper, but that's mostly because Reaper doesn't have much going for her besides Hammer Dagger. Divine Potion is getting buffed, costing a little less gold. That is nice. I do like Divine Potion. I like specifically a Strong Divine Potion and the random buffs you get with it. It always just feels a little expensive. Vampiric Potion getting buffed too, Lifesteal 14 to 15. Doesn't really fix the problem I have with Vampiric Potion. Main problem being that you need to have a blood amulet just sitting in your backpack doing nothing but giving you like 20 life and 2 vampirism, I think. Which kind of sucks, but whatever. I like this buff. Ruby Egg and Ruby Whelp are now giving 1 extra heat. Again, just a small buff there, but feels good. couple of badge buffs here. Skull badge from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. That's great. You know, Reaper badge. I think that's good, but in my opinion, the main problem with Skull badge is not the fact that it was slow. It's not even that slow now. Its main problem is it gives you Reaper items, and well, Reaper items are generally kind of bad outside of Scythe for, say, Poison Ivy. And I guess Poison Ivy Rangers kind of like Mushroom to make strong poison, but outside of that, they kind of don't like it too much. Wolf badge. In my opinion, Wolf badge was the weakest of the badges for 2 reasons. One, its battle rage was just discount Berserker battle rage, which is fine. The other problem I had with it was the fact that you still had to find a forging hammer for a lot of the Berserker stuff. So that is a weakness, but it seems like they're buffing up the Wolf badge, making it so its starred items are a little bit faster, 5% buff. Pretty nice. Blood Harvester buff, a little cheaper. Not really going to make me play Blood Harvester that much more, but the fact that it's cheaper now might make me pivot into a Blood Harvester build every now and again. Anyway, we got Pyromancer now for the first class items, and also the first of the subclass changes. So first off, Burning Blade damage +1. Not really sure why they're doing this. I feel like Burning Blade was fine, but whatever. But here we go. Dragon Nest now guarantees to find a dragon egg after buying. So all subclass items that gate items, like Dragon Nest gates dragons, Frozen Flame gates cryo items, Wolf Emblem gates puppies, Mr. Struggles gates plushies, etc., etc. Now when you buy said item, you are guaranteed to find one of said gated items at the next shop. Quick note though, you have to put the item into your bag right away. You can't just buy the item from the shop, put it in your storage, and it will show up in the shop. Like, the guaranteed item will not show up in your shop. It has to be bought from the shop directly into your bag. I've had some people say, hey streamer, I bought the item, put it in my storage, and I didn't see the guaranteed item. And I told them, well, you have to put it in your bag right away, or else it doesn't work that way. And they're like, oh, I'm dumb. I have heard it is a little bit buggy though. I've heard some people have said, well, I did buy it and put it in my bag, and I still didn't see the guaranteed item, so it might be a little bit bugged. Not sure though. I haven't personally seen it on video. I've just heard hearsay of it. But yes, as for that change, Cryomancer, Frozen Flame, that's kind of nuts. Cryomancer is a good build. Cryomancer's weakness has always been the fact that it just needs to find its cryo items. And it kind of lived or died by whether or not you found a good cryo item by round, I'd say like 10 or 11. Not even a good one, just like a cryo item, like even just a scroll or something, or a book if you had the mana. This Frozen Flame, this subclass item buff is huge. Finding like round 8 Frostbites, dragons, ice armor, even just scroll and book is pretty good. Yeah, there's Buckler too, but hey, I'll take a Buckler. Like any of the cryo items I see, I'm buying it. Book can be a little rough if you don't have mana though, is the problem, but I usually buy like a blueberry or 2 anyway, pre-subclass item. Especially because of Frozen Flame giving me a book now. Next up, I believe it is, I want to say Berserker? Yeah, Berserker. So we got a few changes here. First off, Dragon Scale Armor nerf. Love to see this. Damage reduction from 13 to 10%. This used to reduce damage by 15%. That's crazy. Will this nerf Berserker a lot? I think Berserker is, or at least was, inarguably the best class. I still kind of think she is the best class, even with these nerfs here. But this is a good step in the right direction to a nerf. Battle Rage is really hard to deal with for every class and every build. I always felt like the best way to deal with Berserker's Battle Rage was to play your own Berserker and just be a stronger Berserker. Because if they had, God forbid, 2 Dragon Scale armors, good luck cracking through their Battle Rage. Not to mention the fact that for some reason it has 3 gemstone slots, unlike, say, Vamp Armor, who only has 2 gemstone slots. Next up, we got the Spike Collar. Spike Collar is staying the same, but its cost is going up to 6 gold. That feels fair to me. Definitely feels like a 6 gold item. Kind of puts it in line with, say, I don't know, like Acorn Collar, another... Well, I guess it's a legendary item. I was going to say another epic item, but it feels good. Feels nice to be at 6 gold. Definitely feels like it is, it should be 6 gold. Anvil's losing a star slot. Love that. Really feels like Anvil builds were the best build in the last patch, or at least in the top 3. Definitely, in my opinion, the best build that Berserker could go at least. And of course, Shaman Mask and Wolf Emblem get the subclass treatment. Kind of sad to see no Magic Torch or Falcon Blade nerfs, because Magic Torch, Falcon Blade, Anvil, in my opinion, was the strongest build that Berserker could do, and in my opinion, the strongest build any class could do. I feel like if your opponent was on Berserker and had Anvil, a fully powered Anvil, Falcon Blade, and Magic Torch, you had a really tough time beating that. Granted, they did nerf Anvil, though, so... And they nerfed Dragon Scale Armor, so maybe they don't want to nerf Magic Torch and Falcon Blade yet. They probably want to see how this will do, how this will play out, and if it's good enough. Next up, we got Ranger. A couple of changes here. First off, Piercing Arrow. A little more luck chance. Sure, 5%, whatever. This one's a little interesting to me. Belladonna's Shade, max damage, +2. That is the Poison Shortbow. I'm pretty sure now its damage range is 2 to 11. A 9-point damage range. That's a really high RNG. You just know when you play Belladonna Shade, you're going to be rolling those 2s, and you'll see your opponent rolling those 11s. So, huge RNG. Start praying RNGesus, I guess. I believe the only item that has a bigger damage discrepancy between its high and low rolls is ILG, Impractically Large Greatsword, and its Evolution Busted Blade. I think they have a 10-point difference between their high and low damage. So that's kind of interesting in all honesty. Next up is Tusk Piercer. I think Tusk Piercer is the regular bow, not the short bow. The spiky regular bow, not the spiky short bow. Pretty sure the spiky short bow is called Tusk Poker. Gives 1 extra bonus damage now. That's fine. It's like a small boost to things like Poison Ivy, Darksaber, bow stuff. So that's kind of nice. And then, of course, Big Bowl of Treats gets the subclass item treatment. And now, my queen, my favorite class, the Reaper. Lock Lifter buff. Another patch, another Lock Lifter buff. No, what's it called? No Cauldron buff. Kind of sad. But Vampiric item bonus lifesteal from 9 to 10%. Pretty solid. I like this one, though. Base lifesteal up from 20 to 25%. A 5% increase in lifesteal is pretty big. Is it big enough to make it work? Probably not, but it's still nice to see. Misfortune cooldown from 2.5 to 2.3 seconds. That is a little scary. Snake added a star slot. I read that, and I'm just thinking, so what? I barely care about the star slots on Snake anyway. It's like for what, an extra, I want to say 4 luck and 20 health or something per star slot. Plus, Reaper doesn't really have pets. Like, what are her pets? The dragons, Gooberts, and Jinx Torquilla or whatever. I almost said tortilla. So, whatever. This personally, like, the Snake just feels like it's waiting for Reaper to get more pets somehow. Like, especially smaller pets, like thinner pets, like a rat or something. And then a couple more potion buffs. Strong Demonic Flask. A little more damage from 0.40 to 0.45. Pretty solid. Strong Vamp Potion. Well, they buffed a Vamp Potion, so it only makes sense they're buffing Strong Vampiric Potion. Lifesteal from 30 to 35%. 5% increase is pretty solid. And it lasts for 1 second longer, which is also really good. Mr. Struggles also gets the subclass treatment, which is kind of nice, too, because there's only really 2 plushies that Mr. Struggles is gating. Misfortune and Mrs. Struggles. I feel like if you're going Mr. Struggles, you really want Misfortune, so you're basically playing the I hope I hit Misfortune game when you buy Mr. Struggles on round 7, I feel like. Anyway, a few more changes here, I believe. Just some fixes here we'll talk about. Turns out multiple Badger runes in armor weren't working properly, which is something that I'm surprised about. Never really noticed that. And strong demonic potions can now crit, which I'm just like, yay. Sure, cool. Also, Burning Coal and Burning Torch are now in the recipe book. Whatever. So that is the entire patch 0.9.8. Overall, I like it. The new items are really nice. I like this subclass item change. A lot of these subclasses that gated items, it always felt like they really needed to find said gated item. So it is nice to see this buff to all of them. Feels like Cryo is the winner though. Frozen Flame is the winner with that change, but you know, being able to find like a squirrel if you're going pets, or Misfortune if you're going Mr. Struggles, should be a big boost to those builds as well. As for the balance itself and the other changes, kind of wish they had nerfed Banner a little bit. Maybe they were a little afraid to nerf Banner because, well, Bloodthorn Banner wasn't like the strongest, but it was still really annoying. And outside of Bloodthorn Banner, Pyromancer didn't have a great build after that. Like their second best build was what, Dragons? Yeah, Chili Caliber existed. That was also a Banner build. And Chili Caliber is very inconsistent. Also, I said it earlier, kind of wish they had nerfed Mana Torch or Falcon Blade. Like a small nerf to Mana Torch especially, but they did nerf Anvil, and they nerfed Dragon Scale Armor, so maybe they think that's good enough. Still kind of feels like Magic Torch should have eaten a small nerf, maybe to its stamina usage, maybe if it needed like 2 mana instead of 1 mana or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, though, this video is getting a little bit long now because we had a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the new items. We're talking about the balance changes as well. So we're going to end it here. I'd love to hear your opinion, though, on these balance changes. Who do you think comes out as the winner? I think, personally, Pyromancer is the clear winner here. Reaper also got some good stuff, but she also got some stuff that I just question, like that snake getting an extra star slot. Like, okay, whatever. Also love to hear your opinion on the new items as well, and what you're doing with the new items. I'd love to hear some build ideas you guys have got going. Gonna be putting up some videos later on as well with the new items, so you can look forward to that. Anyway, though, that'll be it, like I said. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me out, and it always helps out the channel. Also, if you want to keep up with the Backpack Battles content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some Backpack Battles, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Senaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Also, if you want to talk to me or talk to some other people about Backpack Battles and other stuff, you can also go and check me out on Discord. There's always a link to my Discord down below in a pinned comment. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.